Welcome back, everyone. As you probably guessed from the title of the video, as well as the thumbnail, this is what we are going over today. It is an interesting AR15, let's just say that. So this is the ATI Omni MAXX Hybrid rifle. So I guess the key selling point of it is twofold, well, threefold. It's going to be price point, as well as weight, as well as the upper and lower receiver are largely made out of polymer. There's some reinforcements that we'll get into as we go through the video, but it is an interesting gun. There's also other major components of the firearm that are made out of polymer, which I was unaware of until I got it in here for review on the channel. We will discuss that as well. Before we get into that though, we do need to acknowledge that this was sent out to us by the folks at Sportsman's Guide, and they are sponsoring the video as well. So they sent it out for the review. I did not pay for it. And of course they're sponsoring us as well. So all of that to say thank you to Sportsman's Guide for making this type of content possible. If you guys aren't familiar with Sportsman's Guide, they sell all types of stuff. Basically, if you watch this channel, they sell stuff you want. Optics, ammo, guns, hunting apparel, all types of different stuff. Deer stands, all of that over there at Sportsman's Guide, and there will be a discount code here on your screen. Now, speaking of discount codes, this is also going to be a Mug Club episode on YouTube as well as Rumble. We are going to be doing this review here for you guys, totally free of cost, and then after that, we're going to head over to Mug Club and do bonus content for you. This week's topic is going to be the recent letter from the folks over at Vista Ammunition about price increases that are coming as of January 1st, and then we're also going to talk about where I think the ammo market is going, because I have some thoughts on that, as you might expect. So with that, let's head out to the range and see what kind of accuracy we can get out of the rifle, and then come back. We're going to walk through the rifle point by point by point and discuss what I think of it overall. Getting into the setup here, we have the target downrange at 100 yards on the rifle is the primary arms PLX 1-8, GLX, not PLX, but it does have the chevron in there, which is nice for aiming at small, precise points. CTK precision rest, we do have in the gun right now some Igman 55 grain 223 from our friends at Firearms Depot. Big shout out to them, as always, for sponsoring the ammo that you guys see here on the channel. It's a heavy lift because we shoot a lot. And they're awesome, and they have great deals and stuff like that. So if you guys are looking for ammo, guns, etc., check out Firearms Depot. And I suppose with that, let's see how it does. Up next is going to be some Federal. This is their 73 grain burger bullet, open tip match, and this is also a 223 chambering. So let's see how she does. All right, the last load up is going to be some AAC ammo. This stuff here is 5.56 chambering, 77 grain projectile in that one. So heaviest one we're going to send. Let's go check it out. But one thing we know for sure is that it does not like that Igman load at all. That was a horrible group, but it got better. Center to center, or right at 4 1/4 inches on that group. Then we came down here with the 73 grain burgers, tightened up for sure. We're at 1 7/8 inch group on that one. Then with the 77 grain AAC, looks pretty similar. We will see a little bit tighter. Double check, yep. So on that one, we are right at 1 3/8 inches. So certainly with match ammo, it shoots okay for a gun that costs what it costs. With the precision part of the video out of the way, let's talk about the details, tip to butt, Navy style, the way you guys like it. Out here at the end, we do have an A2 flash hider. Anybody who watches the channel knows I am a huge A2 fan. It is a super efficient muzzle device. It does a good job at hiding flash. It does a good job of not kicking up a lot of dirt, and it's also very inexpensive. You can generally get them for $10 or less, and it's just an excellent all-around muzzle device. So no problem with it there. The barrel itself is threaded 1/2 by 1/28, and the barrel itself is made out of 4150 CMV, and it is nitride finished. Unfortunately, there's a couple things it's got going for it that I'm not a huge fan of. Number one is going to be that it does have a carbine length gas system, and on a 16-inch barrel like this, in my opinion, it's not just my opinion, it's based on a lot of testing, the mid-length system is going to be more reliable long term. It's also going to have a softer shooting impulse, and that's especially important when we have a rifle that is on the lightweight side. So this rifle here, again, we didn't run it suppressed or anything like that, but it feels like it kicks more than an AR-15 should, and that's just a combination of the carbine length gas system as well as the weight as well as the stock, which we will get into here in just a second. So it is a carbon length gas system. It is also a government profile. So those are things that I am not a fan of. Basically back here towards the rear, it is a lighter weight profile, and then up towards the gas block, it goes to a 0.750 diameter and continues on to the end of the threaded muzzle there. So not a big fan of those things. Obviously, you guys saw the accuracy or lack thereof, depending on the round we're using. And I should note that after we shot that group, I was also just trying to shoot some steel at distance, and we had a target out. I believe on that particular day, it was like 240 yards where that target was out, and I believe it's a 10 by 16 target. Don't quote me on that. But it's a decent sized target. Like, you should be able to hit it with a 16-inch AR-15 that's zeroed with a 1:8 scope on it, and I could not hit that thing consistently with that Igman ammo. So it definitely does not like that Igman ammo. I was laughing at just how bad it was, actually.
That's insane.
Who knows? It could just be the ammo. We don't know. Continuing on back to the handguard itself. Handguard is a 15-inch affair. It is made out of aluminum, and the M-LOK slots there are at the 3, 6, and 9 o'clock positions. The other slots that you guys see at the offset positions are not M-LOK. They're just there to lighten the weight. And let me jump back to the barrel profile on that. You know, like I said, one of the selling points of this rifle is that it's relatively lightweight. On my scale, it comes in without the optic, as you see it here, without the magazine, at 5 pounds and 9 ounces. So it's relatively lightweight for an AR-15. The most obvious place on an AR-15 to save weight is on the barrel. So I don't know why they didn't go with a pencil profile barrel there. That seems like the absolute winner. And pencil profile barrels are more than capable of producing good accuracy, as you guys have seen here on the channel many times. So I think they probably should have went that route. Gas block, though, one nicety of the rifle is the gas block is pinned, so it ain't going anywhere. So that certainly is good. Moving on back to the handguard, it is T-marked on the top, which is nice for people who like that. But one con that we're going to have about this handguard is back here where it secures to the upper receiver. So the upper receiver there is reinforced with metal, which we'll show you here in just a second. But I was out, this is probably the 3rd time we were out at the range with it, and I put maybe 20 or 30 rounds through it, not a ton. I don't even think it was a full magazine. And what ended up happening was I was gripping it like this, like I typically do, and just natural grip tension. I tend to have more pressure on my thumb, if that makes sense, just kind of because your thumb is really strong the way you clamp down on a gun. And I actually twisted the handguard after the heat, and I could feel it moving back and forth, and it was actually being held in place, like i.e. not rotating all the way around, because of the actual scope mount that we have here, which overlaps it a little bit. And then what was crazy was after I let it sit, it was fine. It went back, and now it doesn't move at all. Like right now, it's not moving. So there's something going on there with the interface. I don't know if it's something having to do with the polymer or the type of metal that they use to reinforce it, or just the fact that it doesn't have a traditional anti-rotation device built into it. But that was a concerning part, I guess you could say, of the review. So I suppose with that, let's continue on back. Continuing on back, of course, we're going to make sure that our rifle is clear before we start messing with the controls, and it is. So to take the rifle apart is an interesting experience. So I honestly don't know the answer to this, so if you guys have ATI hybrids at home, let me know. But basically, our rear pin here, to push it across and you pull it out, it comes completely out. But if you actually look at the pin there, it has a detent holder here, which should be in the lower for the detent that holds your trigger pin on there. So, excuse me, your takedown pin. So I'm not sure if I broke it the first time I took it out, or if it just came defective, or if it's supposed to be like that. That said, we haven't had the detent shoot forward, so I legitimately don't know on this one. But that is the way it came from the factory. And then here on the front, it's retained as it should be. And I should know, oh, no, it's not. Look at that. That just happened. Look at that. So there you go. So the pin came out as well as the detent did. So I think it was just pressure, and I imagine I must have done it with the rear as well. But yeah, our detent spring right there came out. So that's not good. That's not what we want to see. I will, of course, repair that after the video. But not good on the pins, right? And the pins themselves are polymer, which I'm sure is what's causing that. There's just no doubt about it, that the polymer is not strong enough to overcome the steel pin. It's got to be what it is. I did not plan that, folks, I promise you. But this is an interesting rifle, as we talked about. So on our upper receiver, here we got a few reinforced parts going on. So our spot there where it interfaces with the lower receiver for the takedown pins is reinforced with aluminum, as is the portion up here. But you can see these are just inserts into the polymer itself. And additionally, one spot that is also reinforced is going to be the opposite side right here. It's reinforced with some metal. It looks to be aluminum as well. And the reason for that is because we've talked about this before in other videos, like in the BCM Mark II series. That is an area where you have a lot of wear as the cam from your BCG unlocks and goes in there, and it's just a lot of torquing going on. A lot of, if you look at like billet upper receivers, will have that area reinforced as well for the exact same reason. So it is not all polymer, but it is mostly polymer. And one thing that's weird, right, if you're used to AR15s, is when you actually put your charging handle in, you don't have to go in and down, you just go in, due to the way that they actually use the polymer. Their injection tools, I guess you could say, they bypass that additional step, which I think that's a pro. I'll give it that. Additionally, our dust cover is aluminum, which is weird because a lot of companies are going to polymer dust covers just because they're quieter. But this one here, they chose to go with the traditional aluminum. Additionally, we do have a forward assist, which is steel. And then we have our shell deflector, which is obviously still polymer. So that is the upper receiver. There are no M4 feed ramps on there. So that's a possible source of issues down the road. Now here on the lower, we got some things going on, folks. So obviously, as you guys just saw, the pin completely walked out and the detent shot out. However, the actual area where the pin goes through is reinforced with aluminum. Additionally, back here where our rear pin goes through, also reinforced with aluminum. Additionally, back here where our BCG is going to go into our buffer tube, reinforced with aluminum. That said, the actual buffer tube there is going to be polymer, as well as are the trigger, the mag release, and the safety. So they got some functional issues with that, as well as just some concern over time issues on my end. So basically, the safety is a functional issue. So that actually went the easiest it's ever gone. So a lot of times it fights me as you actually go to actuate it. But actually, I wonder if it's because, I don't know why. But anyway, that's good. So the safety is getting better. I wonder if that has, I don't know why it's actually easier. I wonder if there's no tension on it. All right. I don't know why that is, but traditionally up until this point, up until filming right now, that safety has been extremely difficult to actually engage. But for some reason right now, it's not. I don't know why. That's good though. Maybe it's a break-in. Who knows? Additionally, the magazine release, it does not release with authority. So here we have the mag pull, Gen 3 mags, and obviously with no tension on it from the bolt carrier group on the top, it releases relatively easily. But with the mag it ships with, which is a Men 2 mag, it kind of sticks a little bit. And if you look there on the right-hand side of the receiver, anybody who's ever threaded in a magazine catch knows that it's a little bit over-threaded, and that's probably why. It's probably not going as far as it could. If you backed it out one, maybe two rotations, it probably would release the magazines a little bit easier. It's an easy fix, but it's just something to point out as it comes from the factory. Additionally, our trigger here is polymer. And you heard me right, the trigger is polymer. I did not realize that when I ordered the gun. It's interesting. That time it was hard again on the safety. I don't know what the heck's going on there, but the safety is certainly inconsistent. At least we can say that. But the trigger brake is nice. I'll give it that. It feels pretty much like most AR triggers. It's got a little bit more take up than a traditional AR trigger. So there's some slop there. I don't know if you guys can see that. That a lot of times you won't have in a traditional AR trigger. But it breaks nice. It breaks right around 4 pounds. Has a good reset, as you can see. And the trigger pins are threaded in there. I'm guessing that is simply because they add a little bit of extra material there, as you can see, and it's just a little bit of a longer pin, so they have to use one of their proprietary pins. The actual buffer itself is going to be a carbine buffer. One of the additional areas of reinforcement is right here at the back of the receiver where the serial number is. I'm sure that is required by law, so that's probably why they do that. But then moving on back, our receiver tube is also going to be made out of polymer, and the stock itself is going to be a sort of M4-ish stock, sort of a knockoff of the old M4. It's got more of a slant to it, and the actual surface area here is a little bit larger as well. I'm guessing that's to try to tame some of the recoil impulse that you get here on the gun, but honestly, it doesn't do it all that well, at least not in my experience. Getting into the charging handle, it is a standard mil-spec affair, nothing fancy at all. And then moving on to our bolt carrier group, I went on their website, I went on several websites trying to find out what the specs were on this bolt carrier group, and they are nowhere to be found. So some things we know: number one, it's a nitrided bolt carrier group, which is good. Nitride's a good finish for a bolt carrier group. The bolt unknown material, if I had to guess, it's probably 9310 because that is the cheapest these days. It's also the stronger of the two versus 158 Carpenter steel, which is interesting. And our gas key there is staked well. There's absolutely no MP or HP markings at all of any kind on the bolt. It's just nitrided bolt. So that is your bolt carrier group. At this point in the video, we got a few things to talk about before we close it out. I think you probably have an idea of what I'm about to say, but we're going to say it anyway. So again, full disclosure, this was sent out to us by the folks at Sportsman's Guide. I did request it because I had never used one, and you hear a lot of things online about them, and wanted to get one in and bring you guys the real deal, at least as of my experience, with a sample size of one. So price point on this one, it comes in with this particular model with the 5.56 barrel that we have here, comes in, generally speaking, right around a $360 to $380 range. They also make a version with a 223 wild barrel that's 1 1/8 twist. That one, for some reason, is about $40 more. So that is the price point that you're looking at for these rifles. And reliability on this gun, guys, we haven't had a single malfunction, not one. The vast majority of the ammo we've put through it has been the Igman, but then also some match stuff as well, as you guys have seen. But again, I've had 0 malfunctions at all with this rifle. So does that mean that I'm going to recommend it to you? No, absolutely not. As you guys saw today, it literally came apart while we were doing maintenance on the rifle and taking it apart for disassembly. So not just that, but the fact that the handguard rotated on me was not confidence inspiring. And not only that, guys, but the safety being inconsistent as it has been, there's just, it's not confidence inspiring. That's really what it comes down to. Something I like about it, the folks at ATI have done, is that they've been one of the leaders in the industry at improving polymer construction, and improving polymer construction for any kind of gun makes it easier to make at home. So I do I guess want to say kudos to them for that, because I do think that's an important role. And of course, there are a lot of 80% polymer lowers out there on the market. There's a ton of them, and those are allowed to be manufactured into firearms to keep and use as you wish. And a lot of that technology, again, has come from the folks at ATI with what they've done here. This is like their 5th generation of this gun. They've been improving it every time. So I want to give them credit for that, for doing the right thing to help ensure our rights here as Americans. But if one of my viewers was to come up to me and say, hey, I got $400, which is roughly what this thing costs, what would you recommend for an AR-15? This wouldn't be it. It just wouldn't. The pros that you get from it being polymer, mostly weight. You do get a flared mag well, you do get an enlarged trigger guard, that is good. You have some other things going on that are interesting, I guess, with the polymer design. But the problem with trying to save weight in the receiver set is the receiver set on a forged 7075 T6 aluminum, mil-spec upper and lower receiver, they're not the heavy parts of the gun. So you're trying to save weight where there's probably other places you could save weight, like we're talking about with the barrel, and make it just a little bit stronger design overall. So I definitely wouldn't recommend it, although, again, we've had no malfunctions, but we have had some issues with it, as you guys have seen here so far. So additionally, one thing I didn't point out is that we do have a sling swivel here on the back, and there is no staking at all on the castle nut. So just little things that they definitely could improve on that there's just not there yet, in my opinion. But I think it's a good thing that this gun exists. It's just not one that I would recommend at this price point to my viewers if someone was to ask. So I think that's pretty much it. If you guys are liking the video and the lack of bias that we have here, because everybody has a bias. That's not true. It's not a lack of bias. But I try to bring you guys the truth, my truth, with whatever product that I've used to that point. And this one just leaves room for improvement. So if you're liking that type of video and you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button to rectify that. If you've hit the subscribe button and you're not seeing 2 to 4 videos a week here on the channel, the easy way to rectify that is to sign up for the email list at the website here on your screen. This email goes out once a month, has all the videos since the previous month's email, so that way it's not spammy or anything like that, but there's no algorithm preventing you from seeing my content. And then additionally, if deals on this rifle, probably not, optic, ammo, magazines, whatever the case may be, if there are deals on those will go out every day in my daily deals email. If it's in that email, it's the cheapest that I know of anywhere for that product, because I've already done the price comparison across the internet for you. And hopefully that will save you guys some money, because I've already done the time, or I've already spent my time rather, doing the comparisons for you. So that will save you some time. That's for sure. The email is excellent. Everyone seems to really like it. It also has a good meme that everyone likes. And with that, that's all I have for this video. Again, we're going to head over to Mug Club, where we make exclusive content along with a number of other providers, Alex Jones, Brian Callen, Steven Crowder, Hodge Twins, Nick DiPaolo. I'm sure I'm missing somebody else, but yeah, lots of censorship-free content over there. And again, we're going to be talking about ammo and taking your questions today. And really, that's all I have for you. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Piss off, YouTube.